So, the universal precautions. These precautions that are the universe, right?
Wow! It's Universe Precaution Man!
That's right, but you're wrong about one thing. Universal precautions are used to prevent the spread of disease from doctor to doctor, doctor to patient, and patient to patient.
What are universal precautions? Taking precautions to protect our patients and ourselves from acquiring and/or spreading infections. We should follow these practices with all patients in all healthcare settings.
You'll never believe who came in today. It was Timmy! He's got HIV!
I don't think Timmy could get AHV.
Oh no! It's Universal Precautions Man! It's important to always maintain confidentiality. If we don't, our patients may not feel comfortable divulging information to us for fear that we will spill the beans. Remember, the only way to be cool is to follow the rules.
The HIPAA privacy rule is a broad rule that sets standards for the protection of medical records and health information. It limits the information that can be disclosed without the approval of whoever's information is being disclosed. It's always important to maintain the privacy of the patient. Disclosing information which the patient does not want disclosed can lead the patient to withhold vital information in the future, which could take a toll on their health or cost them their lives. They might also withhold information from healthcare workers that could put the workers or other patients in danger of contracting illness.
I got exposed to new HIV! What do I do?
HIV? It'll be fine. Make sure you don't tell anybody, or you might not be able to come to work tomorrow and it's Jim's birthday, so you'll miss the crumble cookies.
Universal Precautions Man? You should always document exposure to pathogens. Make sure that you always follow your facility's written exposure plan and post-exposure plan.
One aspect of universal precautions is administrative precautions. Administrative precautions are important because they provide knowledge for healthcare workers about how to protect themselves and their patients from acquiring or spreading infections in the workplace. Some examples include facilities should ensure continuing education for healthcare workers regarding necessary precautions. Facilities should have a written exposure plan in place. Post-exposure protocols should be implemented and posted, and healthcare workers should follow these promptly if they are exposed. There should be accurate record keeping regarding healthcare worker and/or patient exposure.
Wash my hands again. My skin is so dry, it's ruining my manicure.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Universal Precautions Man!
You should always wash your hands. If your hands are visibly soiled, you should use a soap and water combination. If the hands are not visibly soiled, make sure that you use an alcohol-based product.
Hygiene is a way of cleaning one's hands, a deterrent to reduce the potential pathogens, basically harmful microorganisms, on the hands.
Proper hand hygiene is important to reduce the spread of disease from provider to patient, patient to provider, and patient to patient. For visibly soiled hands, it is recommended to use soap and water. For example, if healthcare providers' hands are covered in blood. When the hands are not visibly soiled, healthcare workers can use an alcohol-based hand rub.
I met a guy on the street, and he told me he had TB. I don't know if I have it.
If you don't like, I know you want to sharpen needles, but if you don't take updates to your TB skin test, you're not going to be able to catch up with your vaccines.
TB tests and vaccinations. A part of this plan should include the testing of healthcare workers. Current recommendations are that healthcare workers are screened prior to being hired. Yearly testing is not necessary in most states unless the worker has been exposed to TB. Then testing should proceed dependent upon risk factors. TB education should be provided to healthcare workers based on a yearly basis. and testing protocols should be followed for healthcare workers who have been exposed to the disease. Vaccines are also an important part of an effective universal precautions plan because healthcare workers are at risk for exposure to or possible transmission of many diseases that can be prevented by vaccines. A recommended vaccination plan protects workers as well as the patients they care for. The Advisory Committee Immunization Practices recommends healthcare workers receive vaccinations for hepatitis B, influenza, measles, mumps, rubella, tetanus, diphtheria, pneumococcal diseases, as well as others.
I've got to get this urine sample to the lab before lunch. I'm running late.
Excuse me, ma'am. Are you wearing gloves?
No.
You should always wear protective barriers, such as gloves. I also noticed that your mask is down. Wearing protective barriers isn't just about protecting your patient. It's also about protecting you.
The protective area is the skin and mucous membrane in endoendia, and through the blood serves as a physical barrier that protects the microbes from reaching the potential sites of infections.
Protective barriers are important and protect the skin and reduce the risk of exposure to blood, body fluids, and any other fluids to which universal precautions might apply. Examples of protective are masks, gloves, protective gear for the eyes, and gowns.
I just dropped a vial of blood all over the floor and made a huge mess. But surely I can clean it up with these paper towels.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ah, it's universal precautions, man!
You should always follow any additional precautions in the case of a spill. In this case, a bleach solution would be appropriate.
Additional precautions. Always handle contaminated tools with care and remember to dispose of them properly. Contaminated linen should be properly handled and disposed of. Remember to label linen as contaminated and place it in bags that are made in a specific color. By washing the linen at a temperature greater than 70 degrees Celsius. Anything produced while caring for the patient, clinical wastes, should be appropriately handled. Blood and bodily fluids that may be infected should be cleaned ASAP. For large spills on porous surfaces, bleach 110 dilution, 5,000 ppm of free chlorine, can be used, while a 1/100 dilution, which is 500 ppm of free chlorine, is fine for small spills and smooth hard surfaces. For minimal contamination, 70% ethanol can be used.